got a full show. Let's get to it.
Let's get right into it because there's about 286 Chinese companies listed on the major U.S. stock exchanges. And some of the names you'll kind of recognize like Alibaba, Baidu, JD.com. But there is some concern. Should they be here in the United States and should people be trading those stocks? It does benefit the Chinese government to actually, should we get rid of them on our New York Stock Exchange? That's a question, big question.
Yeah, it's a big question that I think a lot of people have, and I'm going to say I'm a capitalist. I think they can be on there.
Yeah.
But I personally, we do not invest in any Chinese companies. We'll kind of get into that. But one thing that we found very interesting, and this was actually estimated by analysts at Goldman Sachs, and it was that U.S. institutional investors currently own about $830 billion worth of Chinese stocks. And I'm going to say really no surprise here, but that is more than 2 times what the Chinese own of U.S. stocks, as that is estimated around $370 billion. The thing that we look at is, I know people personally that are invested in Alibaba. I know it's a well-known company that people are like, oh, it's like the Amazon of China, so I'm going to buy that as an opportunity. The problem is, a quick sell-off could really bring down the stock valuations and then make it difficult to get out of many of these stocks on both sides as well.
You mentioned that Chinese own about $370 billion of U.S. stock. At first glance, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. They got 1 billion people versus our 360 million people here. Maybe that's a correct number. But we do have much higher per capita earnings. So that could be the reason why. Because at first I'm thinking, well, that's terrible. It should be more than twice. But it's not. Could be, there's probably, I think actually they don't have more billionaires than we have. Not yet.
Gosh, I forget the number. I know we did a post on that a while ago. Yeah. But I do know that the wealth concentration there is much different. There's still a lot of poor areas in China. Yes. I'm going to say I believe. I don't know the exact numbers on that, but I'm quite confident that the wealth disparity there is much more problematic than it is here.
I kind of got off on track on that because I wanted to talk about the Accountable Act, which came out in 2020. And this allows the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, to ban foreign companies from trading on the American exchanges and regulators if they're not allowed to inspect the companies. And this can go on for 3 years in a row. And I'm pretty confident there are some companies that the regulators have not looked at for 3 years in a row. I remember looking at this, I want to say 6 months, a year ago. There were some companies that said, yeah, we need to get on this because I worry about Chinese companies because it's not a free country. The government, if you don't like what the government does, they tell you, no, you put down that you made $1 a share. And we talked about, was it LinkedIn Coffee, I think it was? Lincoln Coffee. Luckin?
Like ducking, but luck.
Oh, Luckin. I was going to say like luck. Luck to have, but Lunkton.
Lucked.
Okay, whatever it was.
Whatever.
Point being is that they had terrible numbers and they were hiding them. So I'm kind of, and I know some people probably want to invest in Chinese companies with the growth. Are you looking it up right now? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, that's bothering me.
Okay. But it's just something that there are things that need to be done. They need to follow our rules. And if they have not been audited in 3 years and those numbers aren't correct, I say get rid of them, kick them off.
Yeah, and I think, just to be clear, that Accountable Act was a great thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because, as you said, luck in coffee, it is.
I'll get it right. Don't worry.
There were some big issues there, and I think having us go in and audit these Chinese companies is so important. And the scary thing is there have been some Chinese companies that delisted themselves rather than go through an audit. And I'm like, whoa,
what does that tell you?
That is a big problem. And the way I kind of view this is if these Chinese companies are willing to go through an audit and they go through those standards, I don't have an issue with them being on our exchanges. Again, I'm not going to invest in them. We like to still invest in U.S. companies here. But I think as long as that transparency there, I don't have a problem with it.
Right. And I don't think that the Chinese businesses use GAAP accounting. I know there's some international accounting that they may use, but it's still, I've said this for years. I like GAAP accounting. I understand it. That's why we don't like investing in foreign companies because we don't know what their accounting is. They're not ruled by GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles.
I think there's a whole host of reasons why I wouldn't invest in Chinese companies. I talk about the accounting, but also, too, I have some big concerns about their economy moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of those companies, their revenue, their sales are concentrated there. And people are like, oh, there's 1 billion people, so it's a great opportunity. again, I still worry about the economy growth rather than the massive size of the population.
Yeah.
And I think there's some big concerns. So, if you own Alibaba, Baidu, JD.com, whatever it may be, just be careful.